Ever since I started making YouTube videos, I wanted to do a Tiger 2 with historical gameplay, and yep, I finally get to do that. Welcome back, guys. So first, I want to apologize. It's been a couple of weeks since I've been able to get a video out, and I have just been incredibly busy. On top of that, my mother-in-law's sick, my wife's sick, even my dog is sick right now. And speaking of that dog, I took it to the veterinarian, and they gave me the bill for $1,600. And my first thought was, hey, let's do some husband math. A new dog would be cheaper. But the little voice on my shoulder said, yeah, but your wife will divorce you, and that'll be a lot more than $1,600. So I did what any husband would do that wanted to stay married to his wife, and I paid the bill. And I want to remind people, down below is a link to my Discord in the description. If you want to hop in, just chat, play a few matches together. If I'm online playing, I'm usually sitting in Discord, so just feel free to drop in. So back to the video though, and try to stay on topic. The Tiger 2, I actually struggled with it. I was looking really forward to playing this tank, and in my opinion, this is the best tank that was made during World War II. Now, I know some people will disagree with that. Let me rephrase that, actually. I think it's the best tank that saw combat during World War II. But I know some people have different opinions on that, but I'll go into a little bit later why I think that is the case. But this tank, I just struggled with it. I don't think it's actually a bad tank in War Thunder, but it is a bit deceiving if you haven't really done a lot of research before you start playing it. And I didn't really want to do that. I've been trying to just enjoy the game as a casual first timer instead of, spend all my time like researching videos and map locations and trying to min-max everything. But I'm still trying to also take in advice. But the first thing I want to talk about is the armor, because the Tiger 2 historically was well known for its armor, so much so that it's believed that not a single tank round actually managed to penetrate the front of a Tiger during World War II. That doesn't mean that they couldn't, but if those situations could have arose, they didn't seem to ever happen. But it is, as you can see, it's well protected. Basically over 200 millimeters effective armor thickness, and 188, 185 on the turret face. So why is this kind of deceptive? Well, it mainly has to do with where the ammo is stored. Remember, the front plate here is, roughly 185 millimeters thick. A lot of rounds are going to be able to penetrate that. But the issue is right behind the turret face, you got all these shells right here. And this thing has huge ammo rack issues because of this, because they'll penetrate the front of the turret, hit the ammo in the back, and detonate the turret off. I did not know this about Tiger 2s, but historically, this was actually a problem for the Tiger 2. Now, mind you, they weren't getting pinned through the face of the turret like this, but what was happening is they might get shot here in the side, and what that would do is detonate the turret. So what crews started doing is removing the ammo that was stored in the turret and just keeping it in the hole. A logical thing, I guess, to do, but in War Thunder you don't really get that option. So as a result, what I started doing is actually only carrying 12 to 13 rounds of ammunition in this thing, which probably doesn't seem like a lot. It's not, but realistically, I'm not getting 11 kills a game, so it really has not been a problem for me. And also, the gun is a little bit point and click, in my opinion. Like basically, if you're able to pin something, it's usually you're going to kill it. It's got a very powerful gun. It lives up to its reputation, I guess you could say. But it's this armor right here, this ammo rack issue caused me a lot of headaches. And some of this also goes into the problem of what this tank actually sees a lot when it is in a match. And one of the tanks that you're going to see a whole lot of is the T-26E5. I ran across these all the time. They are basically the nemesis for me. I hate seeing these things in battle. But, it's basically a better armored Tiger 2. It's not going to really struggle pinning the face of your turret, but look at how you have to aim your shots. Yay, I can shoot the machine gun port. But for the most part here, I mean, there's a lot of, low pin, no penetration possibilities. So, well, basically, if this tank can just kind of point and click at your turret face and it's going to kill you 90% of the time, you're going to have to actually know where to shoot a tank like this to get a kill. But this isn't even the only one that you're going to run across. Another tank you're going to see a lot is the T-29. And as you see, like, the armor on this thing actually holds up pretty good. You pin the machine gun port reliably. But even like the turret face, there's a lot of areas in here it's possible to pin, but, not likely. And then the sides, nope. Top, you can pin the commander's hatch if you can hit it and not hit the ricochet part. But yeah, I mean, this turned out to be a pretty dangerous tank. But like, look at it when it faces the Tiger II. So look at the T-29 when it's actually shooting at the Tiger II. As you can see, basically the entire turret face here is pinnable, and if you rotate just a little bit to catch an angle, yeah, even that front of the side of the turret right here, easily pinnable. So essentially, you have much larger weak spots than the tanks that you're probably most commonly seeing, or at least the ones I most commonly seen. And that caused me a lot of issues. Now, why did this come as a surprise to me? Well, when I first saw the Tiger II, I was in an IS-1, and the IS-1's only got 148 millimeters of pin. And the other tank I was commonly seeing it in was my T-3485. Again, only 148 millimeters of penetration. So, essentially, every time I saw a Tiger II on the battlefield, I couldn't do anything to it. Like, literally, I just tried to avoid them. So it was a bit of a surprise when I got to the Tiger II and just everything just auto-pinned me. And I had to change the way I was playing just to have some success in this thing. So I mentioned earlier in the video, I thought the King Tiger was the best tank to see combat during World War II. And part of my evidence for this that I would put up is that King Tiger had a kill ratio of 5-to-1, or at least that's what it was believed to be, about that. Meaning it knocked out 5 tanks for every 1 King Tiger. Well, that number is actually a bit deceptive, though, because half of all King Tigers are believed to have been lost due to mechanical breakdowns or simply running out of fuel and then being destroyed by their own crews. So you could actually probably average that out to this thing nearly had a 10-to-1 kill ratio if it weren't for mechanical breakdowns. Now, they were expensive. They cost about 800,000 Rheinmarks to make, which for that price, you could buy 8 or 9 Sherman tanks. Probably for the American Army, yeah, the Sherman tank was a great option. It was easy to ship. There's a lot of reasons to do it. For the German Army, honestly, I think the Tiger II was actually probably a really good option for them. It's actually kind of amazing. In 1944, they actually managed to build 600 of these, as much as their factories were being bombed. So another thing, in War Thunder, they had the Tiger II-P and the Tiger II-H. Now, sometimes people refer to these as the Tiger II prototype or Tiger II Porsche, and the Tiger II-H is the Tiger II Heavy or the Tiger II Henschel. So the confusion here actually goes into the bid process that the Germans had on this, the design phase. Henschel and Porsche were competing to mass produce this tank. However, the turret was actually designed by the Krupp Corporation. And the similar thing happened in with the Tiger I. Companies competed with the whole, and then the Krupp Corporation actually built the turret. But what you'll see is, like, on the Tiger II-P, which sometimes people refer to as Porsche, and as stated, he had nothing to do with the design of the turret, is what they have a kind of a built-in shot trap, basically. A round would hit, like, right here, right below, like, where it starts curving down, ricochet into the turret ring or on top of the hull right here, and basically just a built-in weak spot. When you get to the Tiger II-H, what you see is that they've narrowed the face. It's kind of more flat, slightly angled, but more flat. It was much easier to produce. That's probably the biggest reason they went to it. Also got rid of the shot trap as a bonus to it. So I wanted to show some gameplay of how I was starting to find success with this tank, and a good game for me is not necessarily a good game for everyone else. Like, if I have 3 to 5 kills in this tank without dying, that's a really good game for me. If you're getting like 7, 8 kills a game with this thing, join my Discord and show me your ways. But what I find is I want to generally find where there's hard cover. Towns are great. Large rocks like this in front of me are great. I don't like fighting in open terrain on ridge lines. It doesn't really have the gun depression that makes it all that useful, especially on these steep inclines. And it's a very large tank, so you just seem to be kind of outclassed by a lot of the American tanks that you see. But while I'm getting into position, that'd be interesting to get some quotes from U.S. soldiers that fought, and Canadian, British, Russian soldiers that fought this thing during World War II. And when Sherman Crewman in 1944 quoted, "We could barely scratch it." And yeah, you could see that. Sherman gun would have been dramatically outgunned, and definitely didn't have the armor to stand up to the 88. Another U.S. soldier said the only way to beat the thing was to outmaneuver it head on. It was suicide. Yeah, you hear a lot of soldiers talking about getting to the side, flanking it. Those myths are kind of true. A British soldier, you couldn't miss it and you couldn't kill it. British tanker describing the Tiger II during Operation Goodwood. And I'm not very familiar with Goodwood. I'm going to have to read on that one. A Canadian soldier said, "It was the only time I felt truly outmatched." It was in Normandy, 1944. And, the thing to kind of keep in mind here is the Tiger II really wasn't great in Normandy. It had, it wasn't like terrible, but hedgerow country is really not useful for a tank that is capable of killing tanks up to a mile away. This thing definitely was deadlier on the Eastern battlefront when it was actually able to fight. A common occurrence was it was in the repair shop. As soldiers said, the Tiger II could kill the IS-2 before you could even get into range. This tank was deadly up to a mile. And in this match, I start hearing a tank off to my right. So I know there's something to the right. I see a T-29 to my left. Unfortunately, I didn't kill the T-29, but I see the antenna just over the edge of that rock there. So in this match, sometimes the best thing to do is to retreat. I don't know what that tank is to the right, but I know that T-29 to the left of me is dangerous, and he should be coming up over that ridgeline, I would think. I'm trying to pay attention using my camera to make sure I'm backing up in the right direction. See if I can't get behind this large rock. And just about the time I get here, I use my camera to kind of angle around to see what's on the other side of this rock, and look right there. That is not a good sign. And he's going to be very difficult to pin. Like I said, that's also not a good sign. So both these tanks can easily pin the front of my turret. Fortunately, using my camera, I noticed the T-29 is not looking at me, which gives me time to put a well-placed shot right through the machine gun port. Knocked him out. Now I've got this, I think it's a Suma. It's that or a 5100. I can't really tell them apart yet. But I know it's a very dangerous tank. Got an autoloader, and he would be able to pin the face of my turret. Fortunately, I can also penetrate his turret, so this is kind of a death match. And sometimes if I find the best thing to do is just be very patient and wait. Coming from World of Tanks, this was actually kind of difficult for me to get the hang of. But when it's time to move forward, especially with these artillery strikes, this is one of those times that you're just kind of nervous if you can get the shot off. But fortunately, it looks like if he hadn't moved right there, I think that would have been a kill shot. Fortunately, he wasn't able to follow up a shot on me, so I'm going to get to try this again. Yeah, unfortunately, the machine gun's kind of giving him some cover there. There we go. So that's 2 dangerous tanks down. I think both of those tanks are actually a slightly higher BR than mine. I think if I'm not mistaken, the T-29 is a 7.0. I'm not sure about the tank I just killed. I think it's like a 7.0 as well. Funny thing, that was actually the, I think the 5100 50-ton 100 or something. I don't know. I recognize it's the 50-100 in World of Tanks. I'm not sure what it's called in World of Tank. I mean, War Thunder. But it was the first autoloader I came across at lower tiers. And I got caught off guard with how fast it reloaded and shot. So it killed the guy right in front of me, and I was like, I got him in reload, and then pulled out, and it immediately got killed. And I was like, wow, that reloaded really fast. It was me thinking a bush right here was a tank. I had to double check it. But yeah, like here you see me, like I'm just moving from cover to cover, and this is kind of how I started finding success. I consider the Tiger II, it's not, I don't consider it a frontline tank, but it's not like a second line tank either. It's like 1.5. I find that this thing slightly playing in a defensive / aggressive role. Like, move to forward positions that have hard cover and use your camera and stuff to try to locate tanks, pop out, put a good shot in, and then back up. That's literally how I found my success in this thing. And crossing roads kind of makes me nervous now too. I forgot so many things that this tank that have just made me weary. Like, this is the first tank I ran into that I truly just struggled with matches. And like I said, it's just because when I'd first seen it, oh, look at this, another T-29. That looks like it's actually a T-34. Yeah, I think that's a T-34. That's a very dangerous tank. But yeah, put a round in right there, just back up. And, you know, I'll play this corner. Of course, if you watched the beginning of the video, you saw what happened next. So, what are my final thoughts on the Tiger II? It's a pretty good tank. Most of the issues I ran into are skill issues, not really anything to do with the tank. It's in 6.7 BR, which is pretty interesting. I know one criticism is a lot of these tanks are seeing, you have World War II tanks seeing Cold War era tanks, and some people don't think that's good. But I kind of think that's probably where it should be, just due to balance reasons alone. A lot of the tanks, when you are seeing like Sherman tanks and even IS tanks that the Tiger II would have been seeing during World War II, I guess they're just outclassed, and in a game, that's not a very good thing. But what's also kind of interesting is you get to see a little bit how I think this tank would have been had it proceeded past 1945. I think the design of this tank is ultimately a little bit flawed, and you know, it's obviously would have probably found itself outclassed very quickly by 1948, 1950 era tanks. Would have just outclassed it, and this thing would have been obsolete within 3 to 4 years. And that's kind of interesting to think about. But as for the rest of 6.7, there's some really interesting tanks in here. I'm not even going to try to say the SPA name here. I have no idea how to say that. But it's, I mean, it's okay, I guess. The Ferdinand it is a pretty... I didn't find this tank to be particularly fun, per se, but I will say it is pretty powerful. The armor on it holds up better than the Tiger II. This is a much more difficult tank to deal with frontally than the Tiger II. So, you know, just beware. Basically has the same gun. So, very, very dangerous tank. I mean, it's really just an American Bulldog. It's German. It's a Cold War era tank. This one's kind of interesting. It's probably the best tank in the German tree at 6.7, but went to the wrong thing there. But what's interesting about this one is it starts off really bad because your base round is an APCR and you can't really kill anything. But once you get to this shell right here, this M496, it's a heat round. This tank gets very deadly once you unlock this one. It's okay once you get the Sabo round, but this heat round is just devastating to tanks. And honestly, this thing's almost a little bit broken, but the downside is you have to do a lot of grinding to get to this. So this tank is very brutal when you first get it with just the APCR. It's not very effective, but as you unlock the shells, this thing just gets better, better, and better. And last, we got the big boy here, the heaviest tank to see combat during World War II. The Jagdtiger. This thing's like Ivan Draco. Whatever it hits, it destroys. Yeah, not a tank that you want to be seeing pointed at you. This is a tank to be feared when it's in front of you, and if you get beside it, behind it, well, it's a easy kill. So take that for what you will. But that's generally the 6.7. I'm gonna call it on that. But I'm gonna leave you with a final word from a U.S. veteran. The Tiger II wasn't just a tank; it was a monster. You didn't fight it fair. You tricked it, flanked it, or called in thunderbolts. If you tried to shoot it, you died.